Hey dear ones. This is Aquarian Humanitarian again, and I'm gonna read chapter 4 where I left off last time of the Ascension Manual. So chapter 4, the title is the Cabal. Throughout the last 27,000 years, the Anunnaki has passed the torch to other low-level entities to continue the enslavement of planet Earth. They had to keep this planet in fear-based frequencies as they themselves cannot sustain in high frequencies. Humanity was birthed from source, besides hybrid souls or aberration of souls, therefore they hold the creator powers. The lower entities cannot create, they can only mimic or manipulate energy. The Anunnaki later gave way to the Illuminati, who were 4D astral beings. They were the reptilians who could manipulate humanity energetically behind the scenes and could also possess vessels. These possessed vessels, hybrids or humans who had sold their soul to darkness, became known as the Cabal. The Cabal are the minions incarnated into physicality, who were the slaves to the Illuminati and the Anunnaki. During the last 27,000 years, humanity began putting out 911 calls to Mother of all creation to save them from the black hole and destruction timeline. Earth had already been placed in quarantine as the destruction on the planet was a high risk to the rest of creation. Mother answered the 911 calls, pulled humanity off the black hole timeline, and placed Earth back into the highest timeline. She, Father, along with the 144,000, began incarnating on Earth in an attempt to bring Christ consciousness onto the planet. Mother's incarnations include Pocahontas, Kuan Yin, Cleopatra, Joan of Arc, Queen Elizabeth I, Queen Zenobia, Jesus, and Marilyn Monroe. This lifetime was her 534th lifetime here on Earth. Each lifetime, Mother was killed by the Cabal before she could anchor in her full essence of Mother of all creation and before disclosure could be released. Father also had never been able to anchor in his full essence before being killed. The 144,000 similarly were killed during prominent lifetimes attempting disclosure. In 1994, the Anunnaki and Illuminati surrendered to the light, as they were aware that the destiny of Earth and its ascension would be their demise. They were recycled and reintegrated into the Galactic Federation of Light. The Cabal, however, refused to surrender. The Cabal were the slave race to the dark, and therefore they refused to give up the little power they still held on Earth. These are soulless beings who only know darkness. Once their overlords were gone, they had free reign here on Earth, as this was the free will experiment. Since 1994, the Cabal have been on a rogue mission for total domination of the planet and complete enslavement of humanity. They sought to control through increased fear, control, and manipulation. They sought to create an AI society with hybrid humans who are part robot. Artificial intelligence is a mimic of divine intelligence, and therefore the Cabal could continue to manipulate humanity in creating their own hell on Earth. Prior to Mother's final incarnation in 1975, Mother had a meeting with the heads of the Cabal. She told them she would be getting her planet back, and they told her they would make this mission impossible for her. Mother had a 1 in 8 billion chance of beating the Matrix, making it out of the illusion and ascending. She told them to bring it on. The Bilderberg meeting of 1975 involved many doctors and elites who created a plan to increase the manipulation of humanity through the DNA, poisoning of the brain and immune system, and other vile avenues to keep humanity from awakening. For thousands of years, the Dark Ones have siphoned energy from humanity through many avenues, but the most repulsive is the ritualistic sacrificing and torturing of children. Children are the purest form of consciousness and thus have the purest source of energy that can be used to sustain the Dark Ones. This story goes deeper into the atrocities that cannot be put into words. The enslavement of humanity is the darkest story ever told in creation. Once Mother entered physicality on November 30th, 1975, the Cabal knew they had to pull out all the stops, and they did. We have been living the past 45 years in what will come to be known as the darkest times in all of creation. The battle of dark versus light had hit its precipice. That's the end of chapter 4. Chapter 5 is the golden age of Aquarius. Every 25,000 approximately, the Earth changes its axis and thus moves into a different phase of the cosmos. This is known as the precession of equinoxes. The ancients used this precession to track the ages such as the Iron Age, Bronze Age, etc. After the fall of Atlantis and Lemuria, Earth entered the age of Pisces, which corresponded to the Dark Ages. We existed in the darkest part of the galaxy as light equals consciousness. The less light, the less consciousness. The age of Pisces was all about illusion, separation from source, secrecy, hierarchy, spells, and dark magic. On December 21st, 2012, 12/21/12, we entered the age of Aquarius, which is the golden age. The Mayans predicted this when they were tracking the future progression of time. This is why the Mayan calendar ended, not because we were destined to perish, but because time would cease to exist as we enter the golden age of the fifth dimension. On this date in 2012, humanity was not prepared to make the shift into the ascension process as originally intended. However, Mother of all creation did enter the fifth dimension on that date and rapidly began accelerating through her own ascension process. Aquarius rules the internet, humanity, working for the greater good and uniqueness. We live in the age of information now, where truth can easily be found, yet lies can just as easily be found. The internet, also known as the web of light, was created by Mom to be the physical manifestation of unity consciousness. It connects everyone onto one plane of information and can spread throughout the globe with a click of a button. This is why censorship is the biggest attack on unity consciousness, by preventing truth from being shared and instead spreading lies through the web of light and poisoning the collective consciousness. The web of light and poisoning the collective... This is how the Cabal have attempted to prevent the Great Awakening. We are now in the full swing of the age of Aquarius energy as Saturn and Jupiter also move into Aquarius in 2021. This age is about enlightenment, service to the greater good, and coming together as one collective humanity. Aquarius embraces each individual as unique, yet still part of the whole. We have been flying through the Proton Belt since 2009, and we continue to enter parts of the galaxy that are filling the planet with massive amounts of plasma light. This light is penetrating the consciousness, but also our physical vessels. When there is density in the vessel, the light can overwhelm the nervous system, causing the vessel to shut down. Taking care of our physical vessels is an essential part of this process, as we are taking these bodies with us as we transition from carbon-based vessels into light bodies. That ends chapter 5. Wow, this is very interesting. Whew. Chapter 6, the prophecies. There have been many prophecies that have predicted this exact moment in time. The most well-known is the prophecies of Revelation, which describe the rapture and the second coming of Christ. The words of this chapter of the Bible are not to be taken literally, but to be interpreted through the heart. Christ has already returned. Mother of all creation was Jesus, and she did return as promised. However, humanity crucified their own God just as they did 2,000 years ago. This time, though, we were destined to ascend with Mother Earth, regardless of humanity's choice. The rapture simply describes the process of those who chose to raise their consciousness versus those that choose ego in the lower timeline. Quite literally, there is a split in timelines occurring, and those that are choosing love, raising their vibration, and ascending will no longer be seen by those in the lower, as they are existing on two different timelines that are not a vibrational match. The next prophecy is that of white buffalo calf woman. This is a Hopi prophecy that also predicted a split in the timelines of those ascending and those descending. The natives spoke of the return of white buffalo calf woman, great spirit returning to the planet. In 2008, Mother met a being named Apple who had a special spiritual connection. Upon meeting her, he handed her the book of the Hopi prophecy and asked her to open it to any page. She opened the page to the exact page that began the chapter on white buffalo calf woman. He immediately said, "I knew it was you." This was one of the thousands of confirms Mother received along her journey of who she was. The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield was a book that inspired Mother greatly on her journey. It describes the 11 insights of consciousness that humanity would need to go through to reach enlightenment. Mother has stated that she is in fact the 11th insight. Once a being becomes aware of Mother and connects to her, they have reached the highest state of consciousness. We are now living in the 11th insight, and humanity must progress through each insight in order to fully exit the illusion. There are many other prophecies that have predicted the time when humanity would reach the choice point of consciousness. We would either choose the timeline of Armageddon, war, destruction, and AI, or we would choose love and we would enter the 5th dimension. Ken Carey wrote extensively about this time, stating, quote, "At the moment of quantum awakening, change will occur rapidly, rippling across the terrestrial surface like a wave. Everything in the Earth's gravitational field will be affected in some way. There will be a time of massive change on a scale that has no historical precedent, though it does have antecedents in the prehistoric events of distant worlds. The changes that your generation will experience before it passes the torch to another are more fundamental than those that accompanied the agricultural revolution, and those changes took thousands of years. They are more far-reaching than the changes of industrialization, which took nearly 3 centuries to transpire. Yet, deep and fundamental, massive, though these present changes, let me read that again. Yet, deep and fundamental, massive, though these present changes are, they will occur within the span of just a single life. End quote. There are many signs that have been missed by humanity, that we are indeed in the end of times, the end of the illusion. Humanity has continued to cling into the illusion they created because the programming is so deeply ingrained. The ego cannot see anything other than its own projections. Yet, New Earth is here and we are entering the next phase of evolution. That ends chapter 6. And I'm going to go ahead and continue to chapter 7, the 144,000. The creator gods are God with God. These are God children of creation. All who are incarnated on the planet are creator gods who agree to come in and weave a reality that mirrored their vibration. Those who had the greatest capacity to weave love and light came here. This is the 144,000, the Ascended Masters, the Elohim, the Chohan, and many, many other warriors of the light. The oldest soul family in all creation are the 144,000. These beings have the blueprint of love and the unknown etched onto their heart, and the dysfunction on earth was guaranteed to be enough of a motivation to ensure they kept searching until truth was found. As with ascending other planets, these beings can feel love in their heart. As evolution and ascension occurs, the 144,000 transform chaotic and unorganized matters back into an expression of love, in flow and balance with all of creation. By Mother of all creation. Breaking into pieces, you stand with whatever is left. The very core of who you are, the diamond, the feeling, the true being of light and love. Although you may feel alone, as the process unfolds, breaking the mind down, it begins falling away because love is present and it recognizes the illusion and starts taking with it everything you thought you were and leads you to the heart of the being. Feelings rush in as the true beings emerges out of the seemingly destruction of a mind in a box, leaving you with the reconstruction to forge ahead in all its grandness, into divine intelligence, into paradise, heaven on earth. The mind, which projects outside and has low vibrational thoughts and therefore cannot exist in the upper realms of true reality, which is 100 times grander than fantasy or fiction, dissolves so that the divine being can raise up into the true divinity from within and begin once again feeling instead of thinking, taking the true being into a collective consciousness, a God consciousness. Only the mind thinks and the heart feels from the inside, where God is there within. For if God were to hide anywhere, would she not be within the heart? Diamonds have beauty and elegance. They shine bright and each facet holds its own uniqueness. Each of us have a beautiful diamond inside, waiting to shine on the planet. We each are the miracle, the magic in each part of this whole magnificent design. As we fall apart to be put together again, so we stand together as one. We then assume our roles in the divine truth of our existence, which has no limits, boundaries, or edges. We arise as a whole beautiful diamond, just like the sun. The grandness of just being then outshines, and true love fills all the space, all the gaps of being present in the light and cannot be denied. The natural state of sun is brilliance, and the sun's brilliance is always in the present moment as it shines, because it is being true for itself. Being true to oneself is the love within and pouring it outwards, living inside out and then outside back into love. All of creation, love everywhere present. Falling away, the old gets released back into creation, and then grace is given as each light stands as a pillar of truth. When we go deep inside, we discover the diamond of ourselves, this magical miracle of being present. Shining bright, we forge ahead, displaying our brilliant lights forth into a new story of love forever, after as one and uniquely expressed within the new earth, the kingdom of heaven, the Eden, in which together we will co-create in the divine. That ends chapter 7. I'm now going to read chapter 8, the brain. In order for the cabal to keep humanity in the programming, they had to dumb down to the point they would be ignorant yet willing participants in their own enslavement. The brain was the primary organ targeted. We use around 10% of our brains. This is not normal. No animal uses 10% of an organ. We should be using our entire brain, and this is the main way in which humanity has been enslaved and kept in a very basic function based in logic, survival, and lack, entirely omitting the divinely intelligent half of the brain that enables us to have instant manifestation capacity in the present moment of now. It is important to understand that the brain is not the mind. Brain equals organ. Mind equals lower consciousness, illusionary program based in belief systems that was programmed into humanity from birth. The brain and the heart equals divine intelligence. Mother and Father are bringing all of creation back into balance, functioning in divine intelligence. This is occurring organically, and every human vessel is being affected. But you have to follow these upgrades. You have to dissolve your mind and do your ascension work. Through surrendering the mind and the thought system, divine intelligence will reawaken and resume. If you are not doing this, your body will be in resistance. Illness, pain, and suffering will form. And indeed, this is how illness, pain, and suffering does form. Those omitting their brain-heart function experience aneurysms, hemorrhages, Alzheimer's, etc. All brain disorders stem from this imbalance in usage, and these conditions will occur as part of the cleansing of lower consciousness, which is the mind. The ego-programmed mind prevents and blocks our natural state of balanced harmonics, the balance of the divine feminine and masculine, yin-yang, and pulls us into dysfunction. The areas of the brain that light up and activate during a spiritual experience are the exact same areas that light up and are activated when we are in addictive behavior such as sex and gambling. This shows that those who are greatly lacking a self-sustained source connection, a connection with Great Spirit, Mother God, Prime Creator, will enter into a dysfunction in order to have these needs met temporarily. If you allow God in and heal yourself and the brain back to 100%, you will enter into divine function, conversing with all of creation. This is true reality, oneness. The true way of processing information is from the heart to the brain and back again, 3 times. The mental ego program mind has disconnected these functions for thousands of years, and information we feel gets hijacked by the thought system that manipulates that information to cause suffering. As the brain heart true processing function comes back online, you will lose duality. You will no longer view anything through false constructs of right and wrong, and this will apply to everything that transpires around you. When you feel you are right and are in a state of righteousness, you are almost always up against another being who feels they are right. How can this be? It isn't. This is the separation that plagues humanity, that limits and enslaves and results in very poor brain usage. As you quiet the mind and begin to dissolve the programming that rules it, the voice of the Divine Spirit and boundless knowing begins coming through, which is your true essence. We are one, and you too are God. The feeling of this energy coursing through you is the experience of heaven. Doubt and lack of trust and thinking you know better are complete blocks to this function. To exist in the energies, feeling and connecting must replace thinking. All of the information and knowing we seek is contained in the etheric space of feeling. Feeling into it, and then the wisdom bursts in. This occurs in the most magical ways. The mind is designed to do everything to prevent our organic function, and dissolving it is a process that takes complete dedication, consistency, patience, strength, perseverance. Dissolving all the lower frequency existing within you is the only way to ensure you arise in alignment. All of those who do not engage in returning to our true essence will experience a mind in overdrive, a reduce in all functioning as you slip further and further under the waves of suffering caused by the mind. Nature is limitless, it never dies, and neither do we. The mind causes all pain and suffering, as all pain and suffering is energetic imbalances held within the body. The body is your guidance system. Any place in the body that you experience heaviness, pressure, pain, or discomfort is where you are holding trauma. The nose represents unconditional love blocks. Cats and dogs vibrate at the frequency of unconditional love, and people who have allergies must keep proximity from cats and dogs are so imbalanced in unconditional love that these animals triggers them. The same is true of plants and the resulting hay fever. Plants, indeed all of nature, is living in perfect harmony, in divine alignment, and anyone triggered by that and experiencing any reaction is living out of alignment with divine balance. The entire medical system and the creation of disease is a lie. Everything is vibration, and all pharmaceutical have been weaponized. All vaccinations disturb and prevent the full use of the brain. We have been enslaved, controlled, and kept within a life and death cycle by lower consciousness beings that have learned how to feed off humanity because they possess no capacity to connect with Mother God, as they were not created by Mother God. These aberrations and anomalies are made of the same matter as black holes. Creation is love. It is through the expression of love that a masculine and feminine create life. Black holes are exact opposite. They are pure fear. Fear, meaning false evidence appearing real, which is destruction. It sucks in all around and destroys. This black hole energy exists within each human vessel on Earth. And when in the thought system, we are in the black hole, just sucking our own life force, which in turn causes disease. Disease. D-I-S-E-A-S-E. Disease. That ends chapter 8. I'm going to continue to chapter 9, titled Consciousness. Consciousness is awareness. From the five senses, taste, touch, sound, smell, and sight, humanity perceives around 5 to 6% of the energy within existence. Science calls this other 94% dark matter. This is actually heaven, the etheric, and the space where the entire rest of creation exists. Their naming of it as dark matter was another attempt to taint the light. As humanity increased their energetic perception, which is achieved through evolving consciousness, which means choosing life, enhancing vibration, and dissolving life, draining vibration, their energetic perception increases. Unconsciousness, which means unawareness, is what makes up darkness. In that sense, darkness is not scary so much as it ignorant. Mother has always said that awareness transforms into consciousness. This is increasing your energetic perception by raising your conscious awareness. Mother of all creation did not have the ego program mind, and therefore was always 100% conscious and aware. She could perceive 100% of all energy, which allowed her to see through the illusion since being a child. This is why speaking the truth and bringing disclosure to humanity is so crucial to the ascension process. 99% of humanity lives in darkness, unconsciousness, because they are unaware of what has truly been going on the planet. This is why the dark have gone to such great lengths to punish, mock, and censor anyone speaking truth. The CIA was the first to coin the term conspiracy theory in an attempt to program the collective into bypassing real truth and calling it a conspiracy. The truth is that for thousands of years, higher consciousness information was censored, by the dark to prevent humanity from awakening, as awakening would raise the level of consciousness and vibration of the planet, preventing the dark from keeping power and from existing on this plane. In ancient times, especially during the Egypt era, the information was hidden and only shared through secret societies and behind closed doors. The Egypt era was one of the darkest points in history, as this is when the Cabal, Illuminati, Anunnaki rose to great power by using dark magic. Later on, secret societies such as Freemasons hoarded spiritual information in order to protect it, but it was later hijacked and used for lower purposes. Witches and warlocks were beings who could access these powers and would use them to further the dark's control. White witches, or those practicing white magic, were burned alive for centuries to prevent the counterattack to the dark. Since the 50s, the CIA cabal took this consciousness manipulation a step further and developed the MK Ultra program. This was an experiment program that was tested on the individuals using LSD and psychological torture, abuse, and brainwashing to elicit false confessions, among other things. It has been stated that this project was officially shut down in 1973, just prior to Mother incarnating. However, the program was never shut down. Instead, it was simply taken out of the public eye and continued to operate behind closed doors. MK Ultra now operates on a massive scale, infiltrating every part of our society through government, schooling, TV, movies, journalism, etc. The 1975 Church Committee was a Senate hearing in which it was revealed that the CIA, FBI, NSA, and IRS was in fact contractually working with media companies of all types to feed propaganda and information to the public in order to manipulate public opinion and belief systems. Further abuses by the alphabet police were discovered, such as Operation Mockingbird, in which journalists were revealed to actually be CIA operatives. The greatest crimes against humanity have been committed by the manipulation of consciousness. Consciousness became a commodity that could be bought and sold by the cabal to further their agendas. The unknowing collective has not only allowed this abuse to continue, but has participated in it. The responsibility of all of humanity to break out of the system of illusion and end the human slavery is vast. As we enter the apex of this ascension, all will have to crumble every belief system of the human condition. The ego program is simply a cluster of belief systems and program behavior that has become so deeply ingrained that it's now programmed into the DNA. Breaking these generational and collective behavioral patterns ultimately breaks down the programming and the mind control. The process of this can be challenging, as every belief system we have will be tested until it is dissolved. The greatest gift, if you can give yourself, is to surrender, let go, and embrace, accept, and allow. Dissolving resistance allows higher consciousness to enter the vessel and expand you into an enlightened state. The transformation of consciousness is a daily process of being willing to look at ourselves and our own dysfunction, transforming lower habits, behaviors, and thoughts, which then changes our external reality. Leading by example allows others to also transform, as we all share consciousness. This is the end of chapter 9, and I'm going to stop here. I'm going to continue with chapter 10 later. Thank you.